How do you start a jam?
Okay, so I started the jam by setting the tempo, setting the feel. We've got two options on these pans. We can either play an E major or C sharp minor. I went straight for the E.
It's a good choice. I mean, it's kind of a great place to start, right? With the ding, because it's a lovely sound.
Yeah. And you can lay down a little groove that way. You don't have to worry too much about what melody's going to come out. You could just stay there if you wanted to. But what I chose to do is to just kind of play essentially the one chord up and down so that you had something to slot into.
And what was so important is the way that you set the tempo was by playing the same thing, 4 times?
Yeah.
Around and around. You didn't change from that. I had it enough times that I could guess what was happening or jump in. I didn't wait very long because I saw you play the ding, so I was like, my E major is going to fit in with that as well. So we do one thing, we stick on E for kind of 16 bars, I guess that is. I wasn't counting, but it felt like 4 lots of 4. And then there was for both of us a very natural, like, breath point. And I guess that's the first moment of questioning up in the air. Are we going to continue with what we were doing, or are we going to do something different? But I think what was key there is because there was a bit of a question mark moment, we didn't both try and make a decision at the same moment.
Right.
You played something else, and I think I didn't play the downbeat, the first beat, so I jumped off whatever you were coming. Because if we both crash in really confidently with a completely different chord, which may happen throughout this, then it sounds more obviously wrong. And of course you can get into who are we jamming for, like when we're just sitting around and jamming, that's for us, so we are more confident to be bold and wrong, whereas if there's like an audience watching, then we kind of might be a bit safer. And
because we knew we were filming for this, we were probably playing it quite safe.
Yeah.
Somebody's knocking at the door. You like to be in the video?
Right, Rufus, so we're just watching the jam we've recorded.
What do you think? Does it leave a sour taste in your mouth?
Why'd we laugh?
I think we're laughing because we were like, oh, that went well.
Yeah.
I made a chord change that was a little bit quicker than before. So it was like, is she going to follow the fact that I've made a quicker chord change here? And I think you can kind of see in the video I moved before I was ready to play.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So because we do have an advantage, right? Because I have a very similar pan to your sabate.
Right.
So I know that if you're going to come on this side, that's an A. If you're going to go on that side, that's probably a B. And I think handpans generally are laid out like that, right? Like a lot of the notes on one side are going to sound good together.
It's a bit trickier on these two pans, I think, because the layout of each of them is completely different because they're two different scales that we're trying to make work, basically. But generally, if you want to jam with a friend, you would be jamming, in theory, hopefully, on 2 of the same scale.
Right.
So if you see someone playing on that side of the pan, you can play on that side of the pan. And then if you see they're about to switch, then you can kind of mimic those movements.
And you can see that idea really clearly when you look at us playing both of our sabais on First Again. There's a bit where we're just moving chords, boom, boom. It's like we're swimming because we're doing it at the same time.
Synchronised swimming.
Right, not racing. I'm always trying to play a little bit faster than Amy. That's how we jam together. So we've kind of set up a chord pattern, right? We've got E for some amount of bars, and then a bit of A, and then a bit of B. That's kind of what was happening.
And it would make sense that we would repeat that again.
Yes, repetition,
so that we can get comfortable in it,
And especially when you're jamming with someone else, do it again. So then it's like, I think it's this. What do you think it is? And then if you both agree, then you're like, okay, cool. Well, great.
I think the general rule for jamming is like, just don't throw in curveballs.
Yeah.
At least don't do it early. Like if you jam together a bunch of times and you're a bit more confident and you're feeling playful, great, do it and have a giggle and have a laugh. But if you want it to go well.
Oh yeah. Ooh. Classic. Right? What did we do? So we had this like pause, a suspension. Something that comes after a drop is either tiny or bigger than where you were, right? Like there's no point doing all the drama of a drop to just go back to where you were normally. So we did in that moment both make a choice. There's a drop, and we both at the same time were like, let's go big, let's go groovy.
Now my thought process was a little bit different, I think, while this was happening. There was a drop, I knew that something was going to happen. I wasn't quite sure what we were gonna go for with the groove. I wasn't quite sure if we were going to or if it was going to be like more like laid back. So I kind of listened and then joined in really quickly. I'll let you lead on that.
The secret to telepathic playing is just do what they do a second after. Again, the same thing, we're cycling around the same chords, but we weren't sure if that's what we were going to do. So I actually moved to the beat a tiny bit early again,
right,
just to be like, I think this is what we are doing, and then you agreed.
Right. So we're essentially, we're repeating still the same theme and idea, we've just added some tax to it now.
Yeah. 3 chords.
So what happened there is, okay, we've repeated the chords a few times now. I feel comfortable now. I'm gonna start adding some tiny little melody bits in it. And I was like, oh, this is going really, really well. Overconfident. And then something happened that I wasn't quite sure what happened.
I don't know. And that's also, again, thinking about the distribution of like labour, I guess, in your jamming ensemble, right? Well, A, I know Amy can write really lovely high melodies. B, that pan has loads of notes that were going to clash with that pan. So the pan that I was playing, I knew if I was like, oh, let me like take the solo moment and do a high melody, there was like an 80% chance that some absolute clangers were going to come out. And it meant that I was like, amazing, like my job in this moment is to hold down the groove and like play the chords. And Amy's job, which is like just as important, like not more or less, just as important, was to like pepper on decoration.
I think that's another good general rule is if you see the other person reaching for the high end, stick to the low end and vice versa, so that you're not clashing and you know, dancing around each other too much, you're actually supporting each other.
Yeah, agree. Sometimes in this it was good and we looked at each other and smiled and had fun, and I think that's a really important part of jamming, is to be like, oh, that was good, isn't it?
And I think when it goes wrong it's important to do that as well. Just look at each other and smile and go, that was a bit rubbish, let's move on.
And it can feel scary to do that, to be that vulnerable, especially when you have an audience in front of you. And there is obviously an argument, I speak about this kind of like poker face to my students a lot when they're performing and they do something that's wrong, but it's their composition, no one's ever heard that piece before, and they go, don't let it put you off.
Like, people who know us would know that the fact that we're laughing means we've gone wrong. But some people would think, oh, they're just having a great time.
Yeah, we need to stop telling people that we laugh when we go wrong. So we've gone from really groovy via a little laugh break into like very relaxed. And yeah, and that is the good thing about having 2 people. Amy wanted to have a little stop and laugh and push her glasses up moment. So I just carried on playing. I would argue this is us both trying to work out what to do.
We're just staying on E again.
It's a bit like, you know when you wake up in the night, right, and you don't turn the light on and you like reach around for your phone or whatever to try and see what time it is, and you're like groping around, you're like, oh. So we'll find something eventually.
That's exactly what we're doing. And that's okay. As long as we're doing it with the awareness of kind of what the note layout is, we know we're doing it within an E major, then we can get away with it.
Right?
And in rhythm, in time.
In time, in tempo, but it's fine. And another great moment of like, it could have been an emptiness, ba-dum, but you chose to fill in ba-dunk, and instead of leaving it, you just added that other bomb. And again, it's that thing of like, it wasn't wrong, but by doing it twice, it sounded brighter. You playing that extra note.
If you go wrong, do it again. And it sounds like you were supposed to do it.
It sounds exactly like you're supposed to do it. Well, we found our phone, and it was like a build. It was just
Yeah.
quavers, and again, like playing like a straight rhythm like that together in unison. The power of unison in a jam is so cool, especially when it's improvised. Like the fact that we're doing the same thing at the same time is so joyful. So if you're doing that, just carry on.
Yeah, roll with it.
So we were doing that for E, and then we got a bit bold, and then we were like, let's go.
We both switched.
Yeah,
and
we
it
both
worked.
switched to B.
I think if only one of us had gone into the halftime, it would have been
Would
fine.
have worked with it.
Because the other one of us would have floated around on some melody.
Yeah,
or
it's true.
Whatever.
And it felt like a big choice because we happened to both do it, but it actually would have worked under the as well. So maybe that's why we both were confident to do it. Because if one of us had stuck on the repeated thing and the other had made a slight variation, it would have felt like a build.
Yeah, so it was a safe choice, but it just so happened that we both made the same choice. So it looked even more impressive.
Yeah.
Great.
Very cool.
This was a moment where I thought, is the C sharp minor happening now?
And again, of that division of labour thing, like Amy's literally playing one note, and then I'm playing like two notes, but it's more sparsely than she is. So it's kind of really scary to do not very much in a jam as well, because it feels like, I don't know why it's scary. There's more time to go wrong. There's more time to think. But it feels really nice to trust that the other person is filling that space that you aren't in that moment.
And I think I was also kind of hoping that you would find something new.
Did I?
While I was doing that, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen next or what to do next, so I'm gonna do this one thing and let Rosie kind of lead on figuring that out.
Yeah, and again, I did a clash one time, so I just did it again. And it was that same movement of C sharp down to B, so it's like super clashy. I felt confident that you were going to stay on the C sharp, so it would all come right in the end, kind of.
Yeah, and I think in a jam as sweet as this, like everything's A major and everything's beautiful, everything's happy, sometimes it's nice to have that moment within that sometimes that does throw you off and adds a bit of tension to the piece.
Yes.
As long as you don't stay with it for too long.
Yeah, as long as you kind of know how to release it.
Yeah, yeah. And there's the release.
We're sort of pretty much done. We went on a journey, and then we're like, it's probably time to go home, isn't it? Like, and that's the other thing. How do you end a jam? I mean, you kind of have to both sort of feel the breathing out together as well. I mean, it's a pretty classic end to a jam, right?
Yeah.
Don't play the like make it like, we're going to finish. And that's a really good, because of course you can get it together because you're just, all we're doing is watching each other and watching our hands to, like, no one I would say is really like leading that ending moment. It's just like we just sort of breathe out together and feel it land, and that's a really like safe way of ending a jam. Often ending on the same chord that you started on, or the ding again, and doing a sort of roll that gets louder and quieter, and then it ends, because there's enough wishy that no one has to like end it.
I think sometimes in jams, it's happened with us as well, is because we have a lot of pauses and breaths within our jams a lot of the time. Sometimes it just happens, and then there's a pause, and we both look at each other and unspokenly think, that was a great ending. Let's just stop playing.
And we went back to the chords that we were using at the beginning again. So the E, the A, and the B, we were just kind of doing them again. Sort of on purpose, but slightly accidentally, maybe.
Yeah.
Were you doing it on purpose?
I think it was a very lazy, easy decision. And it's like, okay, if I do this, she's going to know that that's what we're doing, because we've just been doing that for 3 minutes. So it's a really easy choice to make. We're not going to... Again, don't throw a curveball in. We've nearly finished this jam. It's going really well. There's no need for a curveball.
And there's nothing wrong with something nice and easy and lazy.
If you want to see us jamming some more, then check out this video next. And hopefully you'll be able to see exactly what we're doing now that you've heard all of our thought processes.
Work out our secrets.
You'll be like, oh, it's actually not as impressive as it looks.
And like, comment, and subscribe for a new video every week.
And subscribe to my channel!